All right, hello, and welcome to the Lost Confederacy channel. We are in week 6 of the 13-week fiscal program of recovery for American prisoners of war. Today you have myself, Chief Biko, as well as Chief Alligator and Chief Quietwater. And here, as always, we focus more so on that first letter in the acronym APOW, which is American. Without further ado, we're definitely going to continue to drive this point home with the government's pretty much just being infiltrated by militia. And if you could, there, Chief Alligator saying I need the option there. But as stated before, going to continue just to drive this point home. Again, election day is, Tuesday. So November 8th. So again, as you continue to try to vote your way towards freedom within this system, they're clearly telling you who runs this system.
The Anti-Defamation League Center on Extremism is out with an in-depth analysis of a leaked Oath Keepers membership list from a year ago, which finds there were hundreds of names on it of current or former elected official, law enforcement officers, and members of the military. The Oath Keepers are a far-right militia group, multiple members of which stormed the United States Capitol during the insurrection and then attack on January 6th. For more on this new report, CEO and National Director of the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt, joins us now. Jonathan, thanks for being with us. So take us through the report that you all did, how you got your hands on the list, and what were some of the more troubling aspects of what you found?
Sure. Thank you for having me this morning, Willie. And I will tell you, this is a chilling report, the likes of which we've never released before. Last September, ADL analysts were able to get our hands on a data leak of the Oath Keepers membership rolls. There were 38,000 names that were essentially pulled from their records and put out in the open. Our analysts pulled down the information before the Oath Keepers could pull it back. We used open source techniques, including public records, social media, and other methods to review every single name that we found. And I must say, we thought the Oath Keepers were a threat when they rampaged through the Capitol on January the 6th, but we had no idea just how deep the threat truly is. We found hundreds of active law enforcement members who are part of the Oath Keepers, 10 chiefs of police, 11 sheriffs, dozens and dozens of active members of the US military, some 80 individuals who were running for public office, almost 24 of whom made it through the primaries and will be up this fall. And look, you might not know all of these names. Many people might know Arizona State Senator Wendy Rogers, who still, months after the terror attack at the Capitol, proudly proclaimed that she was an Oath Keeper in support of the group. But I'm talking about a county commissioner in Nevada, a town justice in New York, a firearms instructor in Pittsburgh, a pastor in North Carolina, and it goes on and on and on. These are individuals with access and influence. These are individuals with resources and training. And these are individuals who have shown us they are willing to commit acts of sedition and violence against the US government.
Jonathan, are you surprised at the extent of the membership of the Oath Keepers and other far-right groups who apparently, or maybe they do know, that the underpinnings of the philosophy of these groups are rooted in race and religion? In other words, they're against anybody who isn't white. And Jewish people obviously have a target on their backs based upon their philosophies. Does this surprise you at all that their membership is so diverse in a sense?
It somewhat does. I mean, look, right-wing extremism is the spectrum. We know that, Mike. And so there are white supremacists, there are sovereign citizens, and indeed, there are these armed militia groups. We know organizations like the Proud Boys, Tario, the head of it, is Hispanic. And indeed, there is some diversity among the Oath Keepers. But I think what's more frightening is the fact that they for a long time have prioritized recruiting active and retired law enforcement and military. We thought, Mike, they weren't being successful. We were wrong. We have a problem with an enemy inside our own ranks who has committed, as the Oath Keepers do, to uphold a higher oath, not to have fidelity to our commander-in-chief or necessarily to the jurisdictions where they work, but to their notion of the Constitution and a holy obligation that, again, puts minorities, puts Democrats, and puts ordinary citizens in their crosshairs.
CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt, thank you very much for coming on this morning.
All right. So again, just highlighting who is in the within this government as far as the people involved. Again, militia members. They only highlighted one public officer, I would say, as far as like a politician. They mentioned a lady out there in Arizona, but I believe there were, I think he said about 41 up for office right now, but they didn't go into details in regards to who those other people were. And this person here, Jonathan Greenblatt, again, the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, Jewish fella, and just his demeanor in regards to how he was exposing this information versus his demeanor in regards to the Kanye and Kyrie situation is just two polar opposites. Very calm, very, you know, he's making it seem like it's a threat towards democracy, but you can tell he's really not too much concerned because the threat really isn't against his people. More so it would be people that look like myself, Chief Alligator, Chief Quietwater on the channel. But when it comes to Kanye and Kyrie's positions on the topic of who actually is controlling the media, who is actually controlling these different organizations that are supposed to be for our people, he has a totally different demeanor, totally different viewpoint, saying basically there should be consequences. Didn't really say anything about consequences in the video we just heard. Really was nothing, just gave out pretty much data and that was about it, but nothing as far as consequences, nothing as far as getting these people not only removed from office, but not even just removed from the ballot in general. So nothing like that, but it's definitely strange of how these two topics parallel each other, one another. So I guess we can kind of just go in from there and just kind of compare and contrast the two.
Chief Quietwater.
Yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. Like you said, it was his demeanor and everything, and his actions are just total opposite of what's really going on. I mean, he has all of this to say in the video in regards to these oath keepers and the demise of what they have done and what they have proved to have done, you know, with the storming the Capitol. And then on the flip side of that, you have the situation like with Kyrie Irving, and they put the smackdown on him, you know, and he literally just was stating his opinion and how he felt about something. So definitely it is more proof. It's right in our face, and we just have to open up our eyes and realize how they're just suppressing us a lot. No, not even a little, but they just continue to suppress us.
Yeah, I agree with both of y'all. The cat is out the bag. As long as we continue to show up on Sundays and do what we do, society is proving us right over and over and over again. The Jews are in control. We've seen that over this last month with Kanye, now Kyrie. Well, let me say the militia first, then Kanye, now Kyrie. And now everybody's talking about the music industry with one of the Migos dying. All of this is Jewish run. We got to open our eyes and actually look at it. We are the talent. we are the assets, and there's a group of people that are the management and ownership class, and they're practicing Jim Crow against our group openly in society. And they know they have the backing of the militia. They've already declared it. You don't have any organizations. Who owns the NAACP? Well, yeah, who owns it? Jewish. Who owns the Urban League? Jews. Who owns Black Lives Matter? Jews. So open your eyes, people. If you don't speak out now, then that means that you're acquiescing to it, which is what Chief Biko constantly talks about with voting. You go out and you vote for these active militia members, then you're showing your consent by participating. If you're not going to speak up against it, then you're okay with it. This was a rough week for our group of people because the only thing that we dominate in is the entertainment industry, comedy, movies, sports, music. And you just saw 3 people in the two in the music industry and 1 in the sports industry. It all falls up under entertainment. You know, they're basically lynching them in front of the world. And we don't have anybody, we don't have a spokesperson. So we'll just keep moving forward, and society gonna keep proving us right.
Excellent points, excellent points. Before we jump into this week's American Inventor, I just wanted to, again, show proof of claim, because I like to, show the video in which I'm kind of referring to. Just going to play a little clip it, probably about 30 seconds, and just for the viewer to see the difference in tone, and then how they attack Kanye versus the militia.
They face a lot of pressure.
Well, look, Emma, I appreciate you having me this morning. I think first things first, like, now what? This is what. So it's important because EL, all forms of hate. And the reality is that there have to be consequences when someone engages in this kind of anti-Jewish rhetoric. This is happening at a time when anti-Semitism has reached historic highs in the US. There was a record number of anti-Jewish hate incidents last year. The community is alarmed. And so for an entertainer like Ye, with one of the largest platforms in the world, he's one of the most popular people in public life. I think making these statements and spreading this slander and anti-Semitism, there needed to be consequences. Yes, I would have liked to have it happen sooner, but I'm glad it happened now.
Jonathan, Yair Rosenberg had an interesting, and I'm paraphrasing.
So again, how you just spoke on consequences, things of that nature, and say anything really alluding to that in regards to the other video with militia, but definitely when it comes to an American and making sure that we take the one of the most powerful Americans that we have right now and make a mockery of him, strip him of, his wealth, strip him of, dignity, make him try to apologize, things of that nature. So again, just highlighting the difference when it comes to one group of individuals underneath this US government versus us. And without further ado, I'm going to jump into this week's American Inventor. And this week, I have here Jesse Russell, born April 26, 1948, Nashville, Tennessee. And he has over 100 patents. But the one I wanted to highlight today would be the wireless communication base station. He basically is one of the founding fathers of the cell phone. That patent number is US 5724665A. And that was approved on March 3rd, 1998. And basically what this is intelligent wireless communication base station provides communication between individual base stations over an RF radio channel. A control unit in each base station utilizes this communication to facilitate each base station to gather system data regarding the system arrangement of nearby base stations. And basically just deals with the mobile device that we currently use today. Pretty much everybody has one, walking around with one. So an American is credited for helping invent what we call nowadays the cell phone.
What's his name again? I'm sorry.
This is Jesse Russell. So Jesse, Russell, Russell. And he is still alive today. And as you can see here, they have numerous people credited for it. But definitely Jesse is one of those individuals here. And as we take a look here, these are pretty much just the components. Very structured. It just basically breaks down how they would retrieve a signal as well as send out a signal to make sure that communication is able to be had. All right. And next we will have Chief Alligator with this week's Dr. Woodson quote. Let's see if I pull up that.
I'm gonna go ahead and hit number 1, make it quick and simple. Founder of what we know as Black History Month, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, quote 1, philosophers have long conceded, however, that every man has 2 educators, that which is given him and the other, that which he gives himself. Of the 2 kinds, the latter or the last is by far more desirable. And that's what this channel is all about. We don't promote liking and sharing or looking in the description section on our videos where we drop a wealth of information, exhibits, proof of claim, documents, and things like that. That's something that we probably want to start doing a little bit more often because we know that our people are so short-term reactionary in this information age. You know, if it's not in 3 words, you know, we can't hold each other's attention. But I think we all can agree, if we weren't self-educating ourselves, school curriculum isn't designed to learn what we're doing on this channel.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And lastly, we'll have Chief Quietwater with this week's legal definitions and maroon historical points.
Righty. Legal definitions. Number 1, American, indigenous to America. Number 2, descendants, one who follows in the bloodline of an ancestor, either lineally or collaterally. Number 3, slavery, a situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. Number 4, prisoner of war, a person, usually a soldier, who is captured by or surrenders to the enemy in wartime. Number 5, school, an institution at which instruction is given in a particular discipline. Number 6, education, an enlightening experience. Number 7, recovery, a return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength, the action or process of regaining possession of something stolen or lost. And the maroon historical points. Number 1 was a person escaping slavery, seeking freedom, or breaking the law. Number 2, providing unity and a strong defense came first. Number 3, maroon leaders were first and foremost military figures. Number 4, maroons established guerrilla warfare, planting sharp sticks in thick grass. And number 5, maroons knew their European enemies' language, defense, and plans.
And thank you, Chief Quietwater. And now we'll go ahead and jump into where we left off last week, which was the 1957 Civil Rights Act. Let me go ahead and pull that up for the viewers. Yeah. All right, cool. Let me see, trying to see where we left off, which section. I think it was Act 2. We didn't get this far now.
While you're trying to find that, I just like to mention again, anybody who watches the video, be sure to check the description section out. We always attach proof of claim documents in the description section. So it's one thing to click on the video, like it or share or subscribe to the channel. But more importantly, definitely check out the description section where we attach documents pertaining to what we do on a weekly basis.
Okay. We didn't I don't think we put where we left off at. I know we got past at least page 3. Because I know it's the commissions. So I'll start off here at section. Just jump back on. Oh, part 2 here. All right.
Is that where we left off at? Because somebody can just pull up the previous video real quick and just verify.
Where we left off. Let me see. Just checking the thing. Let me put it in there.
While we're trying to get that squared away, this 1957 Civil Rights Act, we're just pretty much showing that this is just a commission to study. That's all that was pretty much done out of this. That's basically the federal government playing dumb, acting as if the quote unquote American or so-called Black, like they were unaware that they could not vote in the Creek Confederacy, or what we know as the South or the Dirty South. And so due to a series of hangings, the Deacon of Defense, a lot of pushback during that time, federal government then decided that we'll start a commission in order to study the situation. And we're going to see a common pattern from the federal government. Anytime they write documents that we claim pertain to us, there's never any specific language citing to this particular group of people. So we always imply that that these documents refer to us when the government is very specific about Indians not being taxed. That brings up Kyrie Irving as well to me, because he is an American from the Sioux tribe. So this whole bait and switch about his belief system being Hebrew, his belief system has nothing to do with his bloodline. He doesn't pay tax to the United States government. He is an active registered member of an American tribe, but yet through the Jewish media, they're going to try to make the Negro believe that a religion is his bloodline. What we try to show on this channel is history and law go together. Religion and history do not go together. Law and history go together. You want to know what happened in a particular time, you have to look at the laws that were written during that time period. Allegories are not history.
Excellent point. I think we are, we found exactly where we left off. So it was here at the appropriations. So I'll start here with section 106. There is hereby authorized to be appropriated out of any money in the treasury not otherwise appropriated, so much as may be necessary to carry out the provisions of this act. Part 2, to provide for an additional assistant attorney general, section 111. There shall be in the Department of Justice one additional assistant attorney general who shall be appointed by the president by and with the advice of and consent of the Senate, who shall assist the attorney general in the performance of his duties and who shall receive compensation at the rate prescribed by law for other assistant attorney general. Part 3, to strengthen the civil rights statutes and for other peoples. So section 221, section 1343 of Title 28 United States Code is amended as follows. So amend the, what does that say? Amend the ratch line or catch line of said section to read civil rights and elective franchises. So it looks like these are some amended processes here. delete the period at the end of paragraph 3 and insert in lieu thereof. The paragraph as follows: to recover damages or to secure equitable or other relief under Act of Congress providing for the protection of civil rights, including the right to vote, Section 222, Section 1959 of the revised statutes is hereby repealed. So that part was pretty much just showing some amendments, it looked like.
Yeah, and it doesn't say peoples, it's purposes for that part three section, to strengthen in civil rights statutes and for other purposes.
Purposes, okay, perfect.
We good.
Part 4, to provide means of further securing and protecting the right to vote, Section 131, Section 2, 2004 of the revised statutes is amended as follows: amend and catch line of said section to read voting rights, designate its present text with the subsection symbol. It's the parentheses A, add immediately following the present text for new subsection to read as follows: no person, whether acting under color of law or otherwise, shall intimidate, threaten, coerce, or attempt to intimidate, threaten, or coerce any other person for the purpose of interfering with the right of such other person to vote or to vote as he may choose, or of causing such other person to vote for or not to vote for any candidate for the office of president, vice president, presidential elector, member of the Senate, or member of the House of Representatives, delegates or commissioners from the territories or possessions at any general, special, or primary election held solely or in part for the purpose of selecting or electing any such candidate. So this here is another amendment. I know we spoke on the color of law in a video past. Basically, that just means an interpretation of the law, if I'm correct. We're looking into that Black Laws Dictionary. So it's saying that no other person, whether under color of law or otherwise, shall intimidate, threaten, or coerce an individual or a person to vote a certain way or not to vote a certain way.
Hold on 1 second, Chief Biko. We got to ask a question.
Mhm.
Who are they talking to in this section? It doesn't specify the people that they're hanging from trees,
Correct.
picking dogs on and blowing their churches up. That's what I want us or the viewer to understand when we're reading this. None of these documents that the federal government ever writes that's supposed to pertain to our group, they're not saying the Negro has the right to vote.
Correct.
They're saying persons, and we know.
Right.
Scroll up. If you scroll up just a little bit more, Chief Biko, where you were at, while Chief Quietwater looks up the definition of color of law.
I have it.
Right under subsection A, where it says amend the catch line of said section to read. A little bit with your cursor, go up. Right. One up, go up one more, right there.
Okay.
Elective franchise, civil rights and elective they franchised us.
Okay.
That's how they can talk in third person about a person as a franchise.
Makes sense.
So they're incorporating us, but they're not being specific about our group that they're incorporating. Whereas the fake Indians and the 5 civilized tribes, they're specific in their constitution that these are Indians. That's a separate entity.
Correct.
Kind of sort of like how they've lumped everyone together under the minority status. So the color of law, it refers to an appearance of legal power to act that may operate in violation of law. For example, if a police officer acts with the color of law authority to arrest someone, the arrest, if it is made without probable cause, may actually be in violation of law. So basically, they can do what the heck they want to do.
Can you read the first part of that definition again? Because it sounds like they're bringing us, they're making it distinct in that definition. Color of law is not law.
Right.
Much, yeah.
It says color of law is an appearance of legal power to act that may operate in violation of law.
There
So
we
it
go.
appears to be law, but it's actually is not law, and it may actually violate the law.
Right.
Okay.
And what is the law? Both of
That-
y'all, just asking the question, what is the law?
The law would be what, the Constitution
No,
or natural law?
correct. Natural law is the law. Self-preservation, the first law in nature. That's what they call immutable. Everybody on planet Earth understands natural law. Constitution is man-made shit. That's why they can say man can marry man. That's not natural law. That's their shit. Just wanted to make the difference between that for somebody who's watching. Great definition, color of law. It's not real. They're bringing us into a make-believe government.
And the fact that that is in writing in black and white.
No person under color.
You on
whether-
mute. You on mute, Chief Whitewater. You hit mute by mistake.
Yeah, just the fact that it's in writing in this document. I mean, we've seen it before, but that'll go over so many people's heads that they're telling you that they can do what they want to do
Mhm.
under the, the guise of color of law. And if they get away with it, they get away with it.
Whether acting under the appearance of law or otherwise.
Mhm.
Wow, okay. Now, great points there. Let me see, section C. Whenever any person has engaged or there are reasonable grounds to believe that any person is about to engage in any set or any act or practice which would deprive any other person of any right or privilege secured by subsection A or B, the Attorney General may institute for the United States or in the name of the United States a civil action or other proper proceeding for preventative relief, including an application for a permanent or temporary injunction, restraining order, or other order in any proceeding hereunder, the United States shall be liable for cost the same as a private person. This here just kind of highlighted highlighted a point made in regards to everybody coming up underneath this Civil Rights Act, because they're not specific. It really just highlighted how the LGBTQ community has rights underneath here. Like I said, it's, let me see. Engage in or act or practice which would deprive any other person of any right, privilege secured by subsection A or B. So pretty much because they weren't specific in who they were actually giving rights to, that's how you can have the gay community, illegal immigrants, have all of these different groups of persons come up underneath this Civil Rights Act and get these rights and privileges while we continue to be benign and neglected.
And we got to remember, looking at the historical timeline for the viewer, this 1957 Civil Rights Act had no teeth to it, meaning our group, we're in 2022 right now, our group didn't, quote unquote, really get the right to vote until the 1964 Voting Rights Act. This is the 1957 Civil Rights Act. So they created a commission, but niggas in the South still couldn't vote.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until Martin Luther King comes along about 8 years later with Rosa Parks, and after churches got bombed, dogs get sicked on people, they came out, this commission said, all right, let's do a Voting Rights Act. So we want to keep that in mind too. And European women didn't have the right to vote along with prisoners of war. So that's the way they were able to muddy the waters in the 60s. And the European women were able to co-opt the civil rights movement, just like Black Lives Matter and the fake group Antifa was able to co-opt the 2020 movement with George Floyd's death. It's the same play, but we got to know our history so we can see these plays. Every time we stand up, they create a fake buffer group to suck the energy from what we're doing. And you turn around and you got Jews who created Black Lives Matter walk away with $60 million, and you got nothing but federal charges for being out in the streets 2 years ago.
Correct. Definitely a catch-all that just continues to leave us benign and neglected. We put all these other groups in here, but you have no more resources are left for your particular group. Let me see here. So section D, the district courts of the United States shall have jurisdiction of proceedings instituted pursuant to this section and shall exercise the same without regard to whether the party aggrieved shall have exhausted any administrative or other remedies that may be provided by law. Any person, section E, any person cited for an alleged contempt under this act shall be allowed to make his full defense by counsel learned in the law, and the court before which he is cited or tried, or some judge thereof, shall immediately upon his request assign to him such counsel, not exceeding 2 as they may desire, who shall have free access to him at all reasonable hours. He shall be allowed in his defense to make any proof that he can produce by lawful witnesses, and shall have the like process of the court to compel his witnesses to appear at his trial or hearing, as is usually granted to compel witnesses to appear on behalf of the prosecution. If such person shall be found by the court to be financially unable to provide for such counsel, it shall be the duty of the court to provide such counsel. So that just sounds like pretty much a paid attorney from the court. If you're unable to provide any counsel or any pay for any lawyer or anything like that yourself, then one will be provided for you. There's also showing that you'll be able to call upon any witnesses that will help towards your case.
Chief Biko, that whole section was bullshit.
Hmm.
How can you do that and you're under Jim Crow in 1957? You see the catch?
Yeah.
They're talking as if you are a citizen in the South and you're the Negro, like you can actually go into a courthouse.
Correct.
Like, you understand what I'm saying?
Court was already had in the street. That's how you have people hanging. That was already the judge, jury, and executioner.
Right. That's what we can't forget. All of this shit didn't apply in the South. You couldn't even go to you couldn't go to a whites only restaurant. How the hell they think you're gonna go into a court and do proceedings? Chief Quietwater, anything you want to say on this? That's why we showed the Muhammad Ali video at the beginning of this. If they wouldn't let the heavyweight champ in 1957 go to a whites only restaurant, what the hell make you think they're gonna let the average Negro go into their court system and file something? That
Right.
wasn't.
No, I agree. That's just BS. I don't even know what was the real purpose of them doing this, honestly.
Yeah.
To keep us calm, to kind of, hey, we'll study it. They doing the same thing today. Hey, we'll defund the police. We just went through that in 2020. We'll defund the police. Right? Calm down, niggas.
You don't even talk about
for
it.
me. If you ain't black, you ain't gonna vote. Then once you voted for them, man, fuck that shit.
They'll be all right. So the same thing, same play being ran by the same team.
One thing about it, they definitely got a blueprint, because it's been the same story throughout this. From all of this studying that we've done, it's been the same.
Same
So
thing. Remind me of that Waterboy movie where the coach, he was like, yeah, he's been running the same plays. And then it finally clicked to the I forget the Mud Dogs team that, damn, he has been running the same plays since I was the assistant over there. And so he's like, well, shit, I already know what he's finna call, so why am I still losing? So that's like a great parallel for our group. Like, we know they're running the same plays. I mean, we're seeing it here in 1957. They're still doing it in 2022. Since we know their plays, or we should know their plays, why aren't we, counteracting them at this point? Why are we still falling for the same BS?
Because we don't, Chief Biko. That's why we're doing this on Sundays. We don't know our history. That's why our politics are fucked up. We don't know this. that's how they're able to keep doing it to us. We don't know nothing about this time frame as a whole. But I ain't gonna stop you from finishing reading, or unless somebody else want to. It's up to you.
Anybody want to pick up on part 5 here? Let me see. Then we got one more page left.
I can pick up here.
Okay.
Okay, to provide trial by jury for proceedings to punish criminal contempts of court growing out of civil rights cases, and to amend the judicial, what is that, code? Okay, wait a minute. Let me start over. To provide trial by jury for proceedings to punish criminal contempts of court growing out of or civil rights cases, and to amend the judicial code, is that relating to what is that? Relating to federal jury qualifications. Section 151, in all cases of criminal contempt arising under the provisions of this act, the accused upon conviction shall be punished by fine or imprisonment or both, provided, however, that in case the accused is a natural person, the fine to be paid shall not exceed the sum of $1,000, nor shall imprisonment exceed the term of 6 months, provided further that in any such proceeding for criminal contempt at the discretion of the judge, the accused may be tried with or without a jury, provided further, however, that in the event such proceedings for criminal contempt be tried before a judge without a jury, and the sentence of the court upon conviction is a fine in excess of the sum of $300, or imprisonment in excess of 45 days, the accused in said proceeding, upon demand therefore, shall be entitled to a trial de novo before a jury, which shall conform as near as may be to the practice in other criminal cases.
Hold on 1 second, Chief Quiet Water, because we want to look up the legal definition of natural person. What's the difference between a natural person and person? So let me grab my Black Slaw while y'all look it up as well, so we can let the viewer of this know they just threw a new term in, and we got to see what's the difference from natural person and person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't have natural person in my legal Black's Law, and I'm working with the 4th edition.
Mine either. I have a 6th edition, and it jumps from natural objects to natural premiums.
Quiet Water, can you do a legal search for us and see if we can get the legal definition of natural person?
I just looked it up, and this is coming from law.cornell.edu. Definition of natural person is a living human being. Legal systems can attach rights and duties to natural persons without their express consent.
Okay, now let's look up the legal definition, Chief Biko and myself. Hold that definition, Chief Quiet Water. Let's look up person. Okay, we want to see what's the difference between person and natural person.
So it states here in my Black's Law Dictionary, edition 6, person, in general usage, a human being, but it says, though by statute term may include labor organizations, partnerships, associations, corporations, legal representatives, trustees in bankruptcies, or receivers. Let me see. Let me see. Persons within meaning of 14th Amendment and are thus protected by equal protection clause against discriminatory state actions. So pretty much, yeah, it could be corporation, anything a legal fiction. So any type of made up entity is what a person is underneath the Black's Law Dictionary.
Can you read those 7 different entities one more time, and then we'll have Chief Quietwater read her definition. It sounded like it was about 7 different things person can be legally.
Yeah, so we got one, the first one, labor organizations, second one, partnerships, third one, associations, fourth one, corporations, fifth one, legal representatives, the sixth one, trustees, seventh one, trustees in bankruptcy, and eighth one, or receivers. Then they even have one, aliens, being person within meaning of the 14th Amendment and are thus protected by equal protection clause against discriminatory state section or action, rather.
Okay, so we got 8 different versions of make believe, and then Chief Quietwater, you can hit us one more time with your natural person definition. You on mute. You on mute.
Natural person, a living human being. Legal systems can attach rights and duties to natural persons without their express consent.
Okay, you can finish reading. So now we understand the trick bag. They just gave an out clause for criminal cases to the natural person. You see that? If you go back and read that sentence where it said that in the case, the accused is a natural person, the fine to be paid shall not exceed the sum of $1,000, nor shall imprisonment exceed the term of 6 months. See what they did? They gave an out clause for what they're going to legally classify as a natural person.
Right. Okay. This section shall not apply to contempts committed in the presence of the court or so near thereto as to interfere directly with the administration of justice, nor to the misbehavior, misconduct, or disobedience of any officer of the court in respect to the writs, orders, or process of the court.
So all officers of the court are exempt from this.
Okay.
Dang.
Nor shall anything herein or in any other provision of law be construed to deprive courts of their power by civil contempt, proceedings without a jury, to secure compliance with or to prevent obstruction of, as distinguished from punishment for violations of, any lawful writ, process, order, rule, decree, or command of the court in accordance with the prevailing usages of law and equity, including the power of detention.
So this federal act has nothing to do with the powers of the court in which you just read right there. Yep.
Okay. Okay, section 152, section 1861, title 28 of the United States Code is hereby amended to read as follows. 861, qualifications of federal jurors. Any citizen of the United States who has attained the age of 21 years and who has resided for a period of 1 year within, can you scroll down a little? Within the judicial district is competent to serve as a guard or petite juror unless he has convicted in a state or federal court of record of crime punishable by imprisonment for more than 1 year, and his civil rights have not been restored by pardon or amnesty. Number 2, he is unable to read, write, speak, and understand the English language. Number 3, he is incapable by reason of mental or physical infirmities. Wait a minute. What is that? Infirmities to render efficient jury service. Section 161, this act may be cited as the Civil Rights Act of 1957. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Vice President of the United States, and President of the Senate.
Thank you. I'll in closing, I'll just say what I'll say this real quick. If Chief Biko, Chief Podwater, if y'all can help me refresh my memory, if we go all the way back to the Freedmen's Bureau Act, if we go to the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, if we jump all the way up to the 1957 Civil Rights Act, what we can see is every time that we are taught through media that's Jewish control, that these documents refer to us, we never see the word Negro, colored, or Black in these documents. Now, where we do see Negro, colored, and Black are in treaties and special field orders, which were written by military officers. That's the importance of actually reading these documents. This document really doesn't. I mean, they can let you vote if they well, they could let you vote in 1957 if they wanted to, but it don't say that this should apply to the Negro.
Right.
So, which, you know, that's my closing thought on this is when you read these documents, why are we implying that this shit refers to us when it's interesting, the pattern, the federal government never cites this group, but they'll refer to it in a treaty and a special field order, not an act.
Correct. For me, it just highlights the escape clause that they pretty much write into all of their documents. They can easily say, none of this stuff specifies you. We're giving you the privilege to vote in our system. We're giving you the privilege to live in this certain district, but nothing is specified to you. Like you said, the Freedmen's Bureau Act said nothing about Negroes, Blacks, colored, African Americans, niggas, anything you want to, you know, classify yourself as, it doesn't specify that. So again, it's like, why do we continue to assume these things are for us if it's not in writing? Like you said, we've seen them be very specific, and they're usually very specific within their treaties and their field orders. Like we saw Special Field Order 15 said Negroes, leave them alone in these areas, let them be. Only people need to be over here is who? Military officers. That's it. No other individuals, like we see it in the treaty. So yeah, it's very, very interesting to see how schooling tells us that all of these different acts and amendments and, you know, different things apply to us, but it doesn't actually say it within the documents.
Yeah, I definitely agree 100% with both of you. And I think that it's refreshing to be able to show this. I mean, it's like you said, it says nothing about Negro, colored, Black. And I agree with you, Chief Biko, in regards to them putting an escape. They put an out for them, basically. So I agree with both of you. And it just takes reading and understanding what you're reading to wrap your mind around all of this stuff. We are so quick to want to be included in their stuff, and stuff just go way over our head. So,
and it's funny now too, because, you know, especially since it's around election time, we're 2 days away, they'll say they're taking your voting rights away. They never specified they gave you any of these rights. So why do you think they're taking your shit? We never gave you shit in the first place. So that's what's really mind-boggling to me as well. It's like, oh, so you just gonna let them take away your rights that your ancestors fought for? There's nothing specific in these documents that would even connect to our group of people.
And the people that are going to be running to the polls are saying that exact thing, like, we're making our ancestors proud.
Right, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna throw the chat on while y'all swinging on them real quick. Can we attach the Jim Crow laws in this document to the last 3 videos since we've been reading the Civil Rights Act? And isn't it interesting that at the state level, they can tell you specifically who you are? No colors in this restaurant, no Negroes at this particular place. But at the federal level, they act like they don't know who you are. Let me say that again. At the state level, they give you Jim Crow laws and specifically call you Negro, person of African descent. But at the federal level, they never use that language. So you're being double teamed between two entities. You got the state pointing your ass out specifically, no colors. The federal government is just calling you a person.
Like,
Thank you for pulling that up.
it's crazy. Like, we see what they can be super specific, but again, when it comes, like you said, that federal level, nah, we ain't, we'll let the state do what they do. But when it comes to this federal shit, nah, we're gonna be very broad and ambiguous and make sure that, you know, we have an out just in case, because again, what's the highest level of the court? The Supreme Court, right? So yeah, you may win that shit at your state or local court, but when it comes to the federal, we ain't got nothing in there that says y'all can do this stuff. So let them folks at the state handle it, whatever they say it goes, because again, our documents don't say it. So, and it just highlights here, any white female nurse in wards or rooms or hospitals, either public or private, in which Negro men, look specific, colored races, like none of that shit is in that document from the Civil Rights Act. So again, as the viewer, why do you continue to attach yourselves to these different documents when they're not being specific, but we're showing you that they can be, that they have been? That's what I don't get. And it's the same thing when we think about, you know, the slavery term. Why do you automatically assume that you were the slave?
Right. And to this day, that's why they're not including us in any of these. The president is not addressing us specifically. So it's
Great
ridiculous.
Point. Great point. So you see why, because again, when it comes to that federal level, they're not. They're not. The highest you're going to get is the state level in regards to anything being specified to our group of people throughout all the reclassifications. But as far as federal, nah, nothing. You're civil. That's what you fall up underneath, if you want to imply anything.
Right. And can we look up one last definition as we come up on the hour mark? Somebody look up the legal definition of civil, because who the fuck is civil? It's supposed to be Negro rights, like y'all said. You specifically saying colored and Negro, but Civil Rights Act. So who is civil, and why is civil getting rights? When you clearly said the Negro can't be in the hospital.
Correct. Not civil. I don't know who the hell civil is.
Who the fuck is civil?
You didn't say the white female can't be in the same nursing room as civil. You said Negro. So yeah, let's be specific. And that was one of the things I think where we dropped the ball on during this during the whole quote unquote civil rights movement. Should have just been Negro rights movement, or whatever the reclassification term was at that time.
I have a legal definition in my Black's Law Dictionary for civil. And this just further ties in as we, you know, debunk this shit. The definition, number one, the part of speech is an adjective. The part of speech is adjective. I thought a human was a noun, person.
Right.
So we're already in make-believe. Civil, of or relating to the state or its citizenry. Civil rights. Second definition, of or relating to private rights and remedies that are sought by action or suit as distinct from criminal proceedings, civil litigation. Third definition, of or relating to any of the modern legal systems derived from Roman law. Louisiana is a civil law jurisdiction. So I'm gonna ask the viewer of this video, the definition of civil is not the Negro, not the colored, not the person of African descent. So why are you thinking civil rights apply to you when the definition of civil is not a noun, so it's not a human being, it's not a person, place, or thing, it's an adjective? Wake the fuck up. It's third grade shit.
And they giving rights to an adjective. It's like rights to an adjective. And then one of the very first videos that we posted on our Instagram page was we can't give rights to a color. or you can't give reparations to a color.
To a race. Yep.
Yeah, to a race. And we're you know, claiming this black, which again is just an adjective. But yeah, is we just read the definition. Doesn't say anything about colored, Negro, African American. None of the terms that were being used specifically in the Jim Crow laws of the states that we just highlighted. So again, just got to ask ourselves, why did we settle on this civil term, or why did we allow that to be something that's supposed to be for us, when the Jim Crow laws were very specific of who they were addressing, you know, these laws to.
Chief Firewater, you gonna take us out tonight based on that definition of civil? And do you want to tie in what you were saying about Kyrie and that mommy analogy you gave, mom and kid analogy?
Definitely agree with both of you about the civil part. I think you both were spot on with that. And yeah, the Kyrie Urban situation, basically, I was sharing with Chief Alligator, it just reminds me when I used to whoop my kids, and every time I would put a hitting on them, it was like, didn't I tell you? And they're basically like, keep my name out your mouth. And they gonna beat him until he do what they want him to do. Or, I mean, the decision is his, but they definitely have pushed him into a corner where he's thinking like, okay, I've apologized. Now they want this man to sit down with the rabbis of, you know, a religion or whatever, that it's not, he don't need to be educated or counseled on y'all shit.
Yeah. And
like, he has a choice to think and feel how he wants. So that's what it reminds me of, basically.
No, you're right. What's your name? Oh, it's Toby. And I'm gonna keep
Right. Literally, it's what's going on.
And like he says, you got to sit down with these councils, and it's to our satisfaction. So if we don't think if we don't really think you are being genuine, all of these vague terms, no, we need measurables. We need some.
And who are they to determine that?
Exactly.
You know,
so they could prolong this out to the end of the year. And again, he's suspended without pay. They shoot us in the fucking back, in the head, and their officers get suspended with pay. They don't even get suspended. They get on leave with pay. Then they can get a job at another, you know, state, local precinct or wherever. So again, just shows you over a tweet, no context, didn't say anything about it. Nah, we need you to be suspended. We need you no pay, go into counseling, and then we're gonna see if that's even satisfactory. Wow, you can kill someone that looks like us on film, gets paid leave, no punishments within the court, and scot-free.
Don't forget, they'll raise money right in your face.
Raise money right in your face. GoFundMe's won't get that canceled, won't get that shit shut down. Your videos, you know, hell, probably got all kind of prejudice videos on Amazon. Don't nobody talk about them when it comes to us. But let this video, this man made, who knows how much money, the documentary, but now they're talking about, okay, yeah, we got to pull that. Amazon pull it. When Amazon's the one that posted it on their platform, but nobody's going after them. Again, similar to the RICO charges, all of this, we're going to stop at the foot soldiers, but we're not going to go any further. Jeff Bezos, we ain't gonna really get on that stuff too much, because we know you're trying to buy an NFL team, so we're going to keep that on the hush hush, so we ain't going to put too much attention. Now let's focus on Kyrie. Let's focus on what the Nets should do with Kyrie, not focus on how this was even put on the platform if it's so racist and anti-Semitic.
We play a part in it though. Here's the sad part, and I'm speaking to the niggas. I can say this because I ain't watched sports, and I was diehard sports. Knew the head coach, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, draft picks, the whole nine. I ain't watched sports since 2019. You niggas still gonna watch sports after this shit with Kyrie. We have that power to stop participating. Just like they're telling Kyrie to stop, give me $500,000, go take this counseling. We could just stop watching this shit and make them come to us and say, hey, what's going on? Oh, glad you asked. Here's what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Your grandparents had Negro leagues.
Hmm.
We only 2 generations removed from having our own sports, baseball and basketball teams.
Correct.
Niggas buried in a shallow grave. You got short-term memory. Stop watching the shit.
You want to watch basketball? Go watch the big with the big 3. I watch Ice Cube stuff.